Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas as well as a wonderful New Year. Today, I'm going to be discussing my 34 books that I read in 2025 and also kind of tap into what I'm reading now. First, I'll start with the book that I attempted to read was Sweet Heat. I tried to read this in November, but I just wasn't able to just kind of grab hold of it. So I'm going to wait until this year. It's going to be back on my list because I've read and I've heard so many different reviews that were really good about this book. So I do want to jump into this. The first book, these are not going to be in order as to how much I love them and how I rated them. If you see me looking over at something, it's going to actually be my list that I kept up with. As far as I went ahead and just made a list of the ones that were like physical books, as well as either Hoopla, Libby, or my Kindle. Some of the books that I do have, I did read or listen to on audiobook, and read them on my Kindle as well as physical books too. So I'll kind of try and go through that as I go. I have a rating system that I'm not, I don't really like it as much because I really don't know the whole 1 through 5. If I really love something, I'll give it a 5. If it's got a good plot, a good climax to it, if the writing is very flowy, I kind of go with that. But I kind of find every book that someone writes very intriguing in different ways. So some books I can read physically alone without listening to audiobook. But some books I just find that are more in depth. I just feel like they are better to be listened to, especially if the author or the author is actually the one narrating the audiobook. And there's one book that I'm gonna talk about that's like that I definitely recommend. My first book is The Yellow Wife. I'm not gonna go into a whole bunch of details with it, so we won't have to be here too long. But The Yellow Wife, love this book. The Yellow Wife. No Exit. I'll have to say No Exit is a girl. She is going, just a little synopsis of it. She's on her way home to Utah. Her mother is ill and she runs into some snow. She ends up at a stopping place. There's some other individuals there, and it's something that is discovered while she's there, and she's trying to find a way to save someone, save herself, and also at the same time get home to see her mom, because I don't think they were on good standing when she did leave. It is good. It's not something I would recommend it. I definitely would recommend this book though. So we'll stop there. It Ends With Us. Of course, this was a book. Also, pretty good. Kind of slow for me, but pretty good. All Good People Here. I thought that was pretty good too. The Retreat, and then there's The Sanitarium. To me, the authors are of course the same. To me, Sarah Pierce, these books are very much written with the same kind of elements to them. So I thought they were, good reads, good, comfortable, slow reads. Killers of the Flower Moon. This book is about the Indian people that were living in Kentucky, and they became some of the richest people in the world. But they were treated very harshly. Different people came in and basically wanted to get the oil that they had discovered, and how they became rich with that oil. They were deemed as not being educated enough to even have control of their own money. So people were actually taking over how they, handled and controlled their money. People were marrying them because of their money, and then people were dying. So it's going to talk about that, just so that they can get control of their money and the oil that they had found. Very sad though, very sad. The Covenant of Water. This book here, she's a big chunky one. this author here, Mr. Abraham Valges, he was actually interviewed. If you want to ever read about him or see him, Oprah Winfrey did a long, I can't remember how many sittings they did of an interview with him. He is an actual physician, medical physician, and he has traveled the world as a physician, and he basically kind of puts his writing into a book. So some of the writing that he uses in here is medical terms and medical things, really good. But it's basically, this family is associated by bodies of water. And things happen with this body of water, these bodies of water that are kind of supposedly kind of connected, but it goes through the lifespan of some of the family members and what they had to deal with. But Mr. Abraham, he actually narrates the audiobook. And when I say wonderful, because some of the words that are in here and names and all are very hard to pronounce. And his accent, along with him pronouncing and saying these names and the words, makes it brilliant. Like, it is 600 and, let's see, actually 715 pages, but it is so good, you know. So if you've got time, you know, to listen to it on audiobook, I definitely would recommend that. But of course, I wanted to have a physical copy. So, because I began reading it physically myself, and I was like, ooh, but when I found out that he actually narrated, I had to, of course, get it on audiobook. The next book is going to be Beverly Jenkins, Rebel. Love. I think this was my actual first, unless it was years ago and I don't remember, the first book I've ever written or ever read by Beverly Jenkins. And I loved this book so much. I love the fact that they were some educated Black people that had a society that was, you know, upper class. I loved it. To Kill a Mockingbird, read this when I was in high school, of course, and then we read this again as a during a book club. I actually learned, and this was in a book club also, Beautiful Ugly. It's different, but it was good actually. But this time I felt like I took a whole lot more out of it than before. You know, so I was able to see the different viewpoints of the father, why he felt the way he felt, as well as the daughter. I think it was Scout was her name. You know, just different views. As an adult, I'm able to look at it differently with that book. The next book, I actually bought this book for my husband, Shogun, because we watched the series. He began watching the series, but he's like, oh, I'd read that. And he never did. So I was like, I'm going to read it. So I'm glad that I did watch the series first, though, because I was able to kind of, as I was reading the book, I was able to kind of go back and mentally think about how the movie played. So I remember those parts. So that was good. The next book is When the Reckoning Comes. So this is about vampires. So I'll just read the back of it. It says, what if we resisted further, refusing to stop? What if we clamored and yelled, fought in every way we could? And what if we weren't alone? What if it was all of us together rising? Can you imagine it? Can you imagine what we could do? Good book. I actually expected a little more from it, but it was still good. There's only like 141 pages, so a real quick short read. The next is No Ordinary Love. So No Ordinary Love is about, she ends up marrying a musician, or he's a producer. They get married, and that's not what she's marrying him for, but he ends up being very mean to her. I think he cheats on her and does all kinds of stuff. But she basically is trying to find her way in the world, and, you know, getting away from him and just trying to, and she kind of finds love, you know, real love. I would say this is one of my favorite books of the year. This is Blood Slaves. So this is, there is a vampire tribe or clan that dies off. except for one. And he ends up on a plantation, and I'm just going to leave it at that. At the end of this book, there is a cliffhanger. So I'm hoping that we're going to get a book 2. Or actually, you know, this, I felt like I was reading this right after maybe Sinners came out. And it kind of put me in the mind of that. So I would definitely recommend Blood Slaves. The next is The Reformatory. Lots of videos and reviews about The Reformatory. A little boy goes to a reformatory school, basically, for taking up for his sister. That was not fair, of course. But while he's there, there are different kind of things that goes on, and how they're being treated, and the people that are over them, and what they're seeing while they're there, and how this 12-year-old is going to try and find him a way out of here, a way out of there. And it's about family, pulling together, and good book. The next is The Jigsaw Man. So I would have to say that I love this book. This is a Black female detective book. And she goes through some things a year or two before, I think it was a year before, dealing with a man who committed these murders and all kinds of stuff like that. And basically he's in prison now, but then something crazy starts happening again, some of the same stuff that was going on when, when they were searching for the actual Jigsaw Man. But the detective, she is the same detective that goes on to this case as well. And she has to kind of, not so much as pair with the murderer that she helped convict the year before, but she it goes through her trauma that she dealt with, and basically PTSD of some things that she had to, go through. But at the same time, she still loves being a detective, and she doesn't want to put this down. But she also has to learn to balance her family life as well as her career. Allegedly, cliffhanger. So allegedly she killed a child. It talks about the relationship that she had with her mother and how her mother mistreated her. But at the same time, at the end of it, I really don't know who should be accused of that, but she's held responsible for it. The next is Before I Let Go. I love this book. Kennedy Ryan, I think this was my second book by Kennedy Ryan, but I've got, I want to say 4 more books to read of hers. I love the fact that she did an interview that I watched, and how she talked about how, she discusses therapy and basically the different traumas that we go through in life, but she wants to, by the end of it, bring it all back together. Well, she definitely did that in this book, which was good. One thing I did feel like the whole burn part of it, it wasn't like a slow burn. It was like they continued to lust after each other. And I didn't find that as pleasing, I guess. If it was more of a, like, she loved his mind and I missed that. No, they wanted to, like, get it down. And that was a little different. But her writing, love it. There were a few books, of course, like I said, that I did read just on Libby or on Hoopla, or I did just an audiobook. The Ravenous Fate by Hallie Dennings. Let's see. All Good People Here. Did I have that? I think I had that there. Let's see. The Boyfriend was on Libby. That's by Frida McFadden. Let's see. Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall. That was on Libby. Rock, Paper, Scissors. That's by Alice Feeney also. That was pretty good too. Let's see. That's a good mystery if you want something like that. Let's see. The Darkest Child. I love that. That was by Dolores Phillips. And I say I love that as in very sad book. It basically talked about mental health back in the days in Black families. The mother, she definitely had a really big case of mental health that was never dealt with. And it was like everybody in the town knew that she had something going on with her. And I want to say she had 7 children. She had a lot of kids, basically. And she mistreated, all of them. But the darkest child, she's called the darkest child because she is the darkest of them all. They were light skinned, I think. And one of the sisters was deaf, and the mother treated her horribly too. But really sad though. The Darkest Child by Dolores Phillips. The City of Brass, as well as The Empire of Gold, and what was the last one? Let's see. Kingdom of Copper. Those are all by S.A. Chakrabarty. I did all of those, of course, on audiobook. I received those I picked those up from the library, but those books are huge. So I just really didn't have a lot of time to just sit down and do it, sit down and read it alone. So I would read a little bit and definitely be listening to it because it was just so much I couldn't. Let's see. The Woman in the Cabin by Becca Day. That was on Hoopla. That was very good. Let's see. Selfish. Wow. So Selfish by Katura B. That was recommended by Shaughnessy on YouTube. Love watching her. That was a very, I would say hard read, but as in like she had a hard life. And she basically had to figure out how to make it through and journey through. I think all of us go through our own different journeys that we have, and we have to find a way to get through them and come on the other side. And that's a lot of, she found friends that she thought she had were not friends. And she had to maneuver her life through and just, push through. And her sister, she had to kind of bring her through as well because the mother was doing her own thing and had her own addictions and those kind of things. And that was really rough for her. Let's see. The Naughty List by Octavia Grant. I read that on my Kindle short read. I think it was like 127 pages. First book by Octavia Grant. And The Naughty List was crazy. I think about 3% I was ready to DNF it. 5% I was cracking up laughing because I was like, this can't be. 13% I think I was probably hooked all in because I was locked in. Because I was like, now where we going? I think he had about 28 people that he had, Santa Claus. And he basically was going down a naughty list with them. They had no idea how he knew so much about them, but he went through and he read their life stories out to them. And of course, he talks at the end about what he actually did. And he was like this drunk. They thought he was like this drunk Santa, but he revealed himself. Let's see. And that's it. So that is all of the books that I have read. It's 34 books that I have read in the year of 25. But it's actually, I think my goal for this year was 25 books. So for me to read 34, feel pretty good about that. The year of 26, I want to read at least 26. So that's going to be the goal. Right now, I am reading the book Gal by Ruthie Bolton. I was recommended this by my cousin Tamara. She said this is her favorite book. She's read this a few times. So, of course, I had to buy it. I got it from the used thrift online outlet store. But I am about 50% in. I'm page 130. And there's like 273 pages. A real hard book. So, check the triggers in it. It's about abuse, of course. She is called Gal because that's just what she's being called. Just basically just survival, her, and I think she's got some other people in the house that she calls her sisters. But it goes through their life and the man that is actually raising them and the addiction and situations that he has going on. So it's a pretty heavy read. And I'm also reading listen to a couple audiobooks. So I'll discuss those in the next video. And those are really good and light and fun. And I've smiled so far all the way through them. Please like, subscribe, and comment.